This is Justin Pulitzer. This is my midweek video for Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. So we are into the new quarter, and so far, not so amazing, right? Today, Tuesday, I'm filming this late night Tuesday, early morning Wednesday. It's about 12:49 a.m. But we did see the indices sort of press a little bit higher. They did get sold into a bit. It doesn't surprise me. Sometimes there's a little bit of a hangover after an end of quarter markup. It's also a holiday shortened week. As you know, the market is closing early on Thursday at 1 p.m., 1:15 for the futures. And the Friday is closed. And the thing that kind of makes things a little bit odd is the jobs report is on a Thursday this week. Usually it's Fridays, but this week they're doing it on Thursday because the market's closed on Friday. We had Powell speak today. He basically admitted, just outright said it, that they would have been cutting interest rates if not for the tariffs. So very political, the Fed. And you have central banks across the world cutting. Wednesday, people are probably going to get a little excited because we have the ADP number. A lot of people love to read into that. If anything, I think it's sort of a head fake because often the non-farm payrolls number is vastly different from the ADP number. It's just sort of one of those life's mysteries. And we just have to get through it. So, yep, ADP in the morning, 8:30 a.m. And then on Thursday, we'll have to get through the jobs report, also 8:30. Moving right along, we came into the week a little headstrong. 65% bulls is something. Definitely not to be sneezed at. It's just a high number. It's very hard for that number to sustain. Actually, I will be doing a poll, I think, for the jobs report and then for the weekend videos. So please be sure to answer. That always helps. But I think this final number here wasn't right. I have to adjust it, but I don't have it in front of me. It was more than 100 respondents. But I know the number was roughly the same. That coming off of a dip from the prior week. So pretty wild swings in sentiment. CNN gauge here, 65% bulls. That's pretty healthy. Prior close was 65, a week ago at 58, a month ago at 54. So yeah, people are a little excited. Already talked about the economic calendar, ADP. Sorry, it's 8:15 the ADP actually, and then the jobs report is 8:30, and then we know Friday is closed. So that's going to be something. And then the petroleum survey is 10:30 a.m. So that could impact the oil futures, so stay on top of that. Obviously, they're not gonna cut in July. I think it's like 80-20 that they're not. September is looking like a go though. It's only 8.9% that they stay where they are. So yeah, it looks like September is going to be cuts. I think Goldman Sachs added in that the Fed may be cutting more than expected in the coming year, into the end of the year. So we'll have to see how that plays out, if it does or if it doesn't. Now, one of the things that has me a little cautious, and I've warned against this, is the VIX sort of making some higher lows. It is below the 17.02, so that's good. But it has not taken out the 1623, even as the markets incrementally made some higher highs. If anything, it had a bit of a higher low. Now, shorter term, the 20 MA is 1814, the 10 MA is 1829. The underside of the old up channel is 1839. So that is the first point of real resistance if we get a, liquidation break. After that, the higher end of the range has been the 100 MA. So would it surprise me to see 2213 if, these big cap stocks keep rolling over? No, not really. I mean, even the 50 MA would be, just okay, 2059. I mean, I was looking for ratio plays today and I couldn't do it. VIX was just too low. So pure directional play. If anything, I've been closing short premium. TNX has been, and this is of course the 10-year yield proxy, has been cooperative for the bulls, but it has been bouncing. I would love just a clean move lower, right? Just get it over with, get the spike down. Not that I'm talking my book or anything, because, we're a long TLT, but, move to 41.56 would be nice. I would start getting concerned if we got over 43.48. That is a key kind of 50% fib of the range, and that would have me a little concerned, but we are still making lower highs and lower lows. So Yields are coming down. PE multiple premiums are expanding, which is always good for the bulls. TLT hanging out. We had talked about this 100 MA at 88.28 to 88.69, 50% fib being some resistance. Depending on how many days it takes there, channel high could line up with the 200 MA at 90.08 to 89.97, which is the 61.8 of the range. So we would first have to clear the 50% fib, and I do think that this zone is still good to trim into. Let's just not let it get below 87.42, 38.2 in the range. Have to have some discipline, right? And that makes sense to me. XLF, new highs, very nice. Still seeing some rotation there. What's going on with XLF? I think it's just, first of all, we're negating a double tap, even almost triple tap head and shoulders, so this could really run. We'll do some work for that on the weekend video, but we are still in a responsive market. I still like selling 52.64 plus. Below low of day at 52.21, particularly if we have a lower high on Wednesday, be very careful. Could see a pullback even to the 20 MA at 51.09. This is because they think there's going to be more IPOs, particularly with how successful CoreWeave and Son of CoreWeave Circle have done, and more deals, deregulation. It seems like that will be good for the banks. It's taking a little time, but it could happen. JPM, similar sentiment, but alas, finding some sellers at 291.42. Sure, sellers here are thinking 300, which is possible. We may get up there. By the way, how'd you like my Microsoft call for 500, which we got and pulled back off of? Pullbacks, believe it or not, to 280.25 are still fine. That was the breakout. So up here, though, I would be a trimmer. We did get my 2 times range target, so don't get too crazy. Goldman Sachs. Hanging in around the 2 times range, so 700 plus, I still like booking some gains. Could it pull back to 672.19 and still be bullish? Yeah, that's the breakout. That was the 218 breakout, and we just sailed right through it. My guess is we'll check back to it. 10 MA is catching up. So the 2.618 is 780.77. Could we just flag out here? That would really probably bake a lot of people's noodles, but I'm thinking there could be a little pullback. Let's just stay on, just a little cautious. No problem. We got our targets. The dollar, I've warned that this is weak, and I was seeing it. I really thought the 97.921 would be support for a while, but it was starting to break, and I said, I've said for weeks, it wouldn't surprise me to see this at 94.681 by the end, by when all's said and done. Now, does that mean we can't have a short squeeze and come up to like the 10-20 MA area? By the way, that'd be 97.64 and falling, and 98.135 and falling. Could we even pull up to the 97.921? I mean, yeah, maybe. But right here, it just seems like we're still pulling back. I mean, can't be down every day. I'd love to see some type of an excess low and then a higher low kind of dubstep setup with a secure low maybe to play it. I'll let you know when I do it. I'll let you know. The Bitcoin, we got my upside target here, the 108,960 to 110,150. The 20 MA here is kind of clutch, 106,487. The 50-day is a little below 103,599 and rising. And then, really, as long as we're over, I mean, look, basically we stalled at the 100%, and we've pulled back now multiple times with look below and fails of the 78.6. At 102,554. Now, are we in a little down channel or just a bull flag consolidation? It's still to be determined. But I thought this area was a sell. I would still be selling into it, although the more times you bang on the door, eventually someone's going to answer, and we aren't overbought here by any means in terms of the money flow. If anything, we're almost oversold, so which is very odd. But I still like Bitcoin, but I'd be more of buying dips and still selling rips. I'm still in that camp. Coinbase, look, we saw a lot of rotation out of the stocks that were up big for the most part, particularly the big Mo Bros, and Coinbase is one of the big Mo Bros. Sorry to tell you, but it is. Anything below 349.75 remains sideways to lower. The 10 MA could offer up some support. We'll see, 327.96, but I'd be a little cautious. I'd probably get interested if we got a retest somewhere, I would say between 270.61 and 283.48. that was the old reference high for the range. And if we checked back to there, I'd probably be an interested dip buyer. I don't know that we're going to get down there. We may only, let's see if we were to put a fib just on this time frame. Yeah, you see, that's like just below the 50%. I mean, it's not even the 50% of the pullback, for crying out loud. So, yeah, I mean, it's still up a lot. And would I be looking to reload on the top side of the channel? Maybe for a scalp or day trade. If it really works fantastically, then yeah. But 322.05 maybe if we do get down there. We're trading 340 in the after hours here, so maybe there's a little bounce, but I'd still be as interested seller 349.75 plus. Robinhood, not that much of a pullback, but and we did make a new high today. Now I'm a little torn on how to draw this. I did it this way: this big from the 8.5 low all the way up to the 213 high. That would be 119.84. We've done it before where it's 104. I'd still be selling close to 100. Careful for a lower high tomorrow. Anything below 89.70 is probably a stop out. We could retest the 20 MA area. That would not surprise me in the least. That's 78.09, but it's up a lot, you know. So yeah, a little bit of trimming there makes sense to me. Circle, which is also known in some corners of the universe as son of CoreWeave. I know because I coined the term. Now, it just makes, look, we blew out of here. We almost got 300. By the way, how angry are the people who had sell orders into 300 and we only got 298.99? Whew, that must sting. Now, we're holding the 50% fib and anchor VWAP, so it's not like the end of the world here. 187.23 to 181.50. So anchor VWAP is roughly fair value, right? But we are just kind of chillaxing here, chillamping, whatever, you know, chaluping. If we were doing Chipotle, we would say chaluping. Look, I'd be more interested if we got a little deeper of a pullback to 138.57, maybe 153.77 to 61.8. But down here, it's to me just kind of a jump ball again. I thought it blew its brains out up here, and you know, there's a bit of a secure high. It's pulling back. It was clearly a big short squeeze. It made the move, and down here, I think it's just it's a gambler's paradise at this point. CoreWeave. Help if I could type. It's always useful skill. Seeing a lot of distribution up here. A lot of these candles. Every pop is getting sold into. I would not play it on the long side unless we got over the 10 MA at 166.84. And anything below the 20 MA, which we are kind of dabbling with still, even with the after hours bounce, 158.93, I'd be careful. Could we just check back to 125.02 to 130.76? Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'd be an interested anchor VWAP buyer on the first test, wherever it is at the time, 107.21 and rising. But this to me did have a trend break, and it does to me look like a lot of selling candles, red candles, and the volume is sort of teetering out. A little caution up here. I mean, we do, for crying out loud, we got the 4.236. So, yeah. Gold. Now, if the dollar keeps bleeding, this will be good for gold. Now, there is some good news and there's some bad news for the gold bugs. Now, the good news is it's obviously bounced to the 20 MA. The bad news is that it's sort of rejecting. It is above trend, though, which is good. The bulls will need to get it over and stay over. I'm not even going to just say the 20 MA. I'm going to say high of day at 309. If they do, could we retest the 316s, 317s? Sure, why not? Off a higher low, even better. The short, I believe now, because it should not come back below the 50 MA if it's going to remain bullish, is below the 50 MA, 306.16. So if what shouldn't happen does happen, meaning we get through the 50 MA again now, after holding it, breaking it, above it, it's a short, okay? And maybe even all the way down to the 100 MA and the range low at 291.78. So just be careful, okay? Gold can move. Oil. Little allocation money today. Not surprising in the least. I am expecting things to pick up with Iran and Israel again, just a ceasefire. It's not the end of the war. And the Israelis are still assassinating Iranian generals and nuclear scientists and all that stuff. It's got to hold 64.12 to 65.27 below there, really end the 50 MA at 63, 67. Could come back down 62s, maybe 60s. But on the upside, it's not really going. It's just kind of catching its breath here. I think it's playing a little wait and see. That's really just my take. I think it's just consolidating here. And if it does bend back up, 20 MA could be a target at 67.35, and maybe the 200 MA 68.47. It could be resistance now though, so keep that in mind. Anchor VWAP was not able to clear. That was our upside target. It did overshoot, but wasn't able to hold. XLE. This obviously needs trending oil. I'm a little miffed because I would have liked miffed, right? 83.02. I wanted this to just test the channel low. Maybe I'll get my wish, you know? And what I was going to do, I still may fill this. If I could get a 1x2 or even 1x1x1, maybe like 83, 80, 78, longer dated, that would interest me because filling up the hypotenuse, I'd be a buyer down at 78.49. But it didn't quite get down there. It bounced a little early. Does that mean it can't go higher? No, I mean, it clearly obviously can, but I would like just a little bit more just to make, me feel better. And I may still put on the, about my trade location. So I may put on that 1x1x1 or 1x2 playing for a pullback. We'll see. I'm going to pull up SPY because I'm a SPY kind of guy. I get messages when I don't say that. People are like, you didn't say it. Just like, okay, all right. I am a crowd pleaser. All right, so we have a tale of two sets of futures. Now, if you watched my super follower, or sorry, ex-subscriber short video, we don't do the super follower anymore, right? They don't call it that anymore. So you'll always be my super followers to me, though. I had told you I thought that the risk was a pullback to prior day lows. And we got very close. And now we are testing the range high here. 62, 65, 76. Little look above and fail here, but the bulls will need to actually get above it and go. If they can do that, by the way, if they can get over and stay over 62, 65 half, the 2 times range of the consolidation is 63.0675 and 63.32 quarter. On the downside, if I reverse this, I already did it, so just to save time, I won't. It's just a test to the next day's low at 61.83 quarter. Okay, so first of all, if we have a look above and fail, we'd come down to the range low, probably 62.24 quarter. The 200 MA 30 minute would probably be there or close, and that may be some support. The 100 MA 30 minute though has been kind of boss for the most part. Below it has had quick shorts, above it has had quick longs, and then when it's holding, that's when things tend to good things tend to happen. Now the Qs on the other hand tried to hold the prior day's low, but ultimately succumbed and got to the next day's low, which, by the way, would be this apples to apples to 61.83 quarter. So if we were going to do a 2 times range on the downside, I would view it as this entire leg. And if we swept the leg at 22.594 half, I mean, there are a lot of branches on the ugly tree on the downside, 22,548 quarter, 22,476, 22,388 half, 22,323.75. But ultimately, the 2 times range would be 22,254 quarter. I would write all of these other levels down because they may offer up some supports. Those were reference lows and prior breakouts. And we also have VWAPs. It does not surprise me where we bounced from. The 22,590, because that was a close that was not repaired, so we can now take that off the board. All right, so grayed out. There's still one, by the way, down at 22,341, and would it be such a shanda if we had an overshoot here to 22,254 quarter? You tell me. It's possible. There's also, by the way, one down at 21,926. Look, I don't want to get to, that's, by the way, close to the 2 times range at 22,044, because we don't do the 98. In the after hours, we're checking back to the breakdown. which, by the way, was the prior day's low. And the bulls will need to get over 22,781 and hold. If they can do that, then maybe we drift a little higher. I'm just wondering if the 100 MA 30-minute now is resistance at 22,816.75, because that lines up with the downtrend. So we might get there. Then if that resists, then you can stay short until we get over the 100 MA 30-minute. Or every time we test it, try short until it breaks. And then if it did, we'd probably go to the 22,934.75, probably a sale initially like we saw here in the ES, and then it could back off. Okay. On the upside, how would I draw that in? Similarly, and I will show you how to do that now because it's a little more complicated, obviously, than that. But you can just do the, you could do the Costanza. You could just do the opposite, where we would take this range and project it on the upside to 23,275 and 23,485 quarter. I'm also, by the way, comfortable with doing it this way, which is basically the same thing, because this is the key reference low. And we did technically have a little mini look below and fail of it. So we should technically go higher. That would be 23,269 half and 23,478 quarter. I'll round down. All right, so that's the must hold though, this 22,600. If that gets swept, I think the bulls are in for not such a good day, to say the least. Moving right along with SPY. The expected move is $5.16. The max, all right, I'm just going to say it. The max main pin is 608, but it is bookended by 614 and 613, so don't read too much into it. The channel high here has been reached, and it is holding. Listen, pullbacks to 613.23 are fine, as long as they hold. Now, if they don't hold, then where you could pull back to the, believe it or not, the 605.06 and 10 MA at 606.56, and probably the 20 MA by the time it gets there at 602.89 or 87. And the 20 MA, remember I said to cover shorts here? All right, we had a little bit of a cruddy open, but was I such an idiot? I mean, come on, give me a break. We rallied that day. We closed at the highs, gap, and went. I mean, it was just, this was like the money call, right? And when I said to close, it was actually at the low of the day. So it actually, you even had price improvement a little bit by the close that day. On the upside, I will have to do a little bit more work on this because we are riding the channel high, and I do think that that area is going to be some resistance. I drew it in though. I mean, on the longer time frame at 658.82. I don't think we're going right there, but 658.82 and then 713.52. Those could be longer dated if you want to be long some like long dated call spreads, maybe leaps. That works for me. But look, we just had the golden cross here. Are we going to just fall apart? I mean, I can't tell you, but could we just be in this big up channel here for the balance of the year? That's possible also, but we are near the higher end of it, so I do like trimming here, particularly coming into a jobs number on the dead highs ahead of a holiday weekend with the interns running the show. The DIA, this was just rotation day. Things that were lagging or down are now up, and things that were up are now down. Resistance comes in at 450.36 to 451.48. Don't let it get below 440.69 on you if you want to be a little bit tighter. 444.31 was VWAP, so that's kind of very tight up here. So, I mean, value did matriculate up with it. It wouldn't surprise me to see a consolidation day like a dubstep because we did break over the channel high, but it still looks pretty bullish. 349 is the $3.49 is the expected move. Max pain pin is 430. Again, that isn't really bookended by anything because they don't have weekly options, but I think a lot of the weakness in that is embedded just in size. IWM, someone asked if it's an inverted head and shoulders. It is possible. Very, very possible. Possible. A few things to note. One is it's really, I mean, there's the must hold on this is it's a little fungible. The 20 MA, do not let it get below the 20 MA no matter what you do. 2, 12, 11 and rising. But this 213.97 to 217 area, I still think it's a trim, and it is the must hold to my eye. Okay, after that, channel high is 222.30, and if we were to do the full Monty up here, 227.75. All right, so what if it is an inverted head and shoulders? How would I draw this in? Now, there's a couple of ways to do it. I tend to be more conservative. Trying to see how I'd feel comfortable here doing it like this, because this to me is the relevant neckline. And you just go in, you take these out, and then you do things like adding in 2.618 just for good measure, because the market, look, back when I was a young gunslinger in this market, it used to be 1.618s were actually a thing. But now it's 2 times ranges and 2.618s. It'd be 246.81 and the 2.6, that's the 2 times range. And I do think that this area will be a lot of resistance because it's the old high at 244.98 to 246.81. And then 261.81, the 270 is the 261.81, 2.618 is 270.01. But I think that the all-time highs would be resistance. This, by the way, needs the big beautiful bill to pass, and it will. It may have to go back to conference, for some change from the House, but ultimately it'll pass. I would also have orders out at 229.30 because that was prior resistance, and I don't think we're just sailing on through. I think that area, particularly if it lines up with the channel high, will be some resistance, at least short term. If you're in calls, make them spreads, and you may even want to roll them out to be a little longer dated. IWM is going to also depend on, by the way, the expected move in the IWM is $3.30. The max pin they say is 214. It's going to depend a little on the KRE. It's heavily weighted to these banks, which is into the 61.8. I'd be a trimmer here, by the way, at 61.89. If it kept on going, the channel high is 64.41. You may want to keep an eye on KRE with IWM because they may top simultaneously. So keep that on your radar. I want to also just warn you, if you draw this in a little more conservatively, we're already at the channel high. See? So there's a couple of ways that's why it would be a trimmer here. But if you want to drag it out a little bit, which I am comfortable doing also, because this looks relevant to me. Both look relevant to me, but this to me, particularly if we do it tomorrow, I'd be a little trimmer boy up there. Moving right along, the Qs. Expected move, $5.74. Max pain pin is 542.5, but it's bookended on both sides by 547. All right, so we're potential mini secure high. Look, I will make the argument to you. I have it drawn in here at 536.88 to 540.81, but the 2 times range is 533.27, and the 20 MA is kind of close between there and the 536.60. I mean, that area, just as long as this zone holds, and I'm going to extend it a little bit more, this area here must hold, because we had a lot of consolidation at that 2 times range. This is big, juicy 7 points area, 7 point plus area needs to hold. If it doesn't, the bulls are toast, because that also, by the way, lines up perfectly with the yellow channel low. So would it pull back to the channel low after making a new high, be it by the dip? Yeah, for me it would. So at least write it right out. If you're bearish, buy 540, sell 511 with an overwrite down at 487.93, which is the 5.9 gap fill in the 61.8. So you're buying the 100% retracement, selling the 78.6, and with an overwrite down around the 61.8. Yes. SMH. Let's take a look at those SMHs. They are a little weaker, so you never want to have that, although we have had that for a while. Look, as long as it's over 269.66, it's fine. If that fails, the 20 MA at 263.62, and then the 78.6 at 258.90 would be in play. That's the top side of the old down channel, and the yellow channel, that would be a right out by the dip, but we'll see. Would it surprise me to see this pump back up and make a new high above 283.07? Not really. Particularly if NVIDIA is going to stay strong, but NVIDIA now has a look above and fail, or potential look above and fail. The apples to apples must hold zone for me on NVIDIA is right here. This 2 times range at 150.74 up to 153.13 and really over 153.13. So we closed at 153.30. So the look below and fail is technically in place, and we don't have a look above and fail. So just be a little cautious here. All right, we made some new highs. Would it surprise me to see on a bear, on some type of a pullback for this to slam down to the 143s, 140s? No. Would I be a buyer between 138.90 and 140, 143? Yeah, probably. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Moving right along, Avago, Broadcom, whatever you want to call it. Just type in the ticker correctly. You'd be one step ahead of me. A nasty reversal today. All right, the 20 MA is the must hold. That was the must hold back here on 620 and 623. It's currently 256.81. Could there be an overshoot to 251.88 and it'd still be fine? Yeah, but this area needs to hold. I would be a trimmer into a bounce, and you may get one. It looks like we're getting it in the overnight, so I would take some if you didn't take some off the table. Intel, I was a seller, but I still am short put, so I'm technically still long. I think low of day is a good stop, though, at 22.28, and my end range was 23.77 up to 24.31. So channel high. It's still consolidating above the trend, though, so that's nice. Pull back to the 50 MA, I'd reload. 2088, I'd reload, and I'd do the time warp again and buy some type of call spread playing for upside potential. Palantir, do they come much more bullish than Palantir? So, of course, it's getting the Wackarooski. It's got to hold 130.54. If not, I would say the 50-day at 125.41 to 125.41, the breakout is like, could happen instantly. But if we get over the 20 MA, the bulls are probably back in charge, 135.48. I wouldn't let it get back above that because that's candle body high in the 20 MA. So don't be that guy. It is bearish. We had this move up. We should stay. I'll just tell you this. If we stay below 130.54, which was this 6-7 down move, the stock is probably, incrementally, I would buy the dip here for a bounce, but it'll probably go lower. Okay, so just be careful. Apple, oof, was this a call or was this a call or was this a call? We had talked about this anytime, any move over the 50-day, I said I thought was a long, and here we go. Boom, pow, boom, pow. Could we keep going? Maybe. I'd see the real resistance is at 214.66. At least that's been lately, and that's where I have a lot of sell orders in, by the way. It's at the 50% fib. The 100 MA might be a trim point at 212.44. Is it terribly overbought? Not really. There's still some potential for upside move. I wouldn't even surprise me to see it fill the 223.89 gap. I would be very leery if it does that ahead of the earnings because that might give you a little sweep the leg, the old shake and bake situation. But for me, the trade in Apple was just for this bounce and, another day or two up, and that'll be it for me. May not even get it. We'll see. Now, it makes sense that Apple is going to outsource some of their AI because that's what they're doing in China with Baba. So they already have the software patch for that, right? Because China is making them use a domestic partner for their AI. It can't just be ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini. It's got to be domestic, so it's going to be Alibaba. It could have been DeepSeek, but they're using Baba. I forget the name of the Baba one. I've used it. It's pretty good. It's actually very good. The bulls here need to get over 115.86 to 117.82. I was hoping for a pullback here to the 200 MA. I've been meaning to do a put ratio, playing for a move down to the channel low in the 90s. I don't know if we're going to get it. I may figure it out. If we get an IV pop, I'll do something like that. I had covered shorts down here at the 200 MA and reversed for the long, and this is where I got out. So, yeah, it did pull back first. It did eventually go a little higher, but this turned out, the 61.8 area, to be a pretty good... that was a good trade. It was actually one of my best trades of the year. So, because I got it both ways, coming and going. It was small size, but percentage-wise, it was very nice. Actually, the size wasn't too bad because I had it over a couple of accounts. So, yeah, it was all right. Amazon, 225 was reached in the pre-market. It was never seen again. Very nasty reversal. But today, the bulls did step in a little bit. Prime day is the July 8th through 12th, so maybe there's a little love. I have orders up here, by the way, to sell out at the 78.6 if we get it again, channel high. I would reload if we got down to the 211.52, 61.8, which is also the channel low. It's held now on multiple occasions. If you want to wait for it to get below the 20 MA and back up above it, then that's a long two, currently 213.71. Microsoft makes total sense. We're getting a little bit of a pullback here. We got the 500. The 10 MA is the must hold at 488.69. If that fails, I mean, would it be so awful if we got a pullback to 468.35? By the way, if you want to buy 470, sell 440 or 445 with an overwrite down around 420 longer dated, that could work very nicely. But for me, 500 was the sell, so thank you, sir. May I have another? Netflix also got some sellers. We had talked about booking profits above the 2 times range. Could it get the 2.618? Maybe 1454.41, but it's clearly not doing it now when we're getting some rotation. 20 MA, channel low and top side of old channel could be in play anywhere between let's see, hold on, 1225-ish to 1249.70. What is this? 1250-ish. So like $25 range on the downside. Bulls here need to get over 1305.48, but I'd be a seller into pops. I mean, this thing moved. This thing really moved. Meta also getting some selling, not surprised. This also has a look above and fail. We had talked about selling the 2 times range, 742. So pretty good. Pull back. If we can't hold the 100%, are we going to get the 78.6 at 685.03? Very possible. But before there, we do have some range between 700.89 and 708.87, which is the breakout from 611 and the 20 MA, which has been support, as we saw on 623. Also lines up with the channel low. For me, the look above and fail needs to be negated. I would be very careful buying the dip unless we were much lower. Maybe the 50 MA, I'd be a buyer. 641.11, maybe. Up here, it's not down enough from where we just sold it. The googliness. The sale here was very nice. We talked about booking it again. So what now, right? We're kind of mid-range. It's got to hold right here, 173.79. It'd be a dip buyer, though, if we got down to the 165s, 165, 166s, the 50 MA and channel low. This was also the Eddie Q reversal day low or high. So that area to me is, I think, a buy if it gets down there again. Booking, a monster stock, new all-time highs, but we are at channel high. I'd be trimming here. I mean, come on. It's got to hold, though, 56.39.70, but up here, I mean, near 5,800. I mean, you got to be thinking it's going to get 6,000, right? But it could just grind. I mean, we've seen this stock do it before, but I think like the easier money here has been made. Oscar. We did see some rotation into healthcare. I talked about this likely being choppy for a while. But up here, I mean, I'm not really that interested in it. I mean, it could go a little high. I mean, it could go higher, don't get me wrong, 24s, but I'd be more of an interested buyer if this had like a 15, maybe 17 handle on it. So yeah, and the money flow is not confirming. It's actually starting to roll over with the lower high. It doesn't really mean that much to me. It could still go higher, but I'd be more of a seller into those pops now than chasing it. Just for me. Oh man, we haven't talked about this one I think in a long time. Shark. This was like a quiet IPO that just beasted up. If you're long, don't let it get below the 200 MA at 97.33. If it gets below there, it's a short, but it did break the triangle. It should go to 104.97. If it goes up to the underside of the old up channel trend, 114s. It's bullish, but it's got to hold the 200 MA. You can see when we get above the 200 MA and back below it, it's been a short. So the 200 MA is the must hold. Same person wants to talk about MMM. Okay, kind of went a little different way on it. It's near the range high at 156.35. I mean, channel high is higher. 163.80. Let's say it did it on earnings. 165.63. Low of day has got to be a hard stop for me. 151.42. Because it had this sort of move up to the 156s. And any move back below the 78.6 has been met with selling down to the 50 MA, so 145. So maybe buy 150 or 150, 145 as a hedge, maybe with an override at 135. But I would probably just trim out a little here. Doesn't mean you have to sell it all, but I would be trimming. Las Vegas Sands, pretty nice move. Well, back below anchor VWAP is a short, 45.89, and if I were long, I would make sure it holds 46.51, and I'd still be trimming here a little. It looks good though. They are coming into earnings, so the higher it goes into the earnings, the more risk you're putting on. But it does look pretty good today. This looks like a potential pro gap. So yeah, 46.51 would be the must hold for me. I'm not gonna wave on that. Win, another obvious one. This one's strong. Wow. Looks like it could go to the 107s, maybe 108s. That area is probably a sale. Pullbacks to 98.70 are okay as long as it holds, but don't let it get below there or else it's probably too much. But it could be a right or right out buy if it does. Maybe there's a dubstep tomorrow, but looks pretty good, at least for now. UNH making a bit of a move. Still think this is going to be tough money ahead of the earnings. Probably some short covering. I do ultimately think it I do ultimately think it fills this 378.75 to 394.75 area, but this area has been a sale. Maybe the 50 MA gets some sellers at 337.01. They have earnings on 729. I know there's been inside buying, but to me, this just looks like a little short covering, maybe a little allocation money into healthcare. It's probably not terrible to own some down here, but I don't think you're gonna. Look, I have a short put spread on in this, so I am hoping it goes higher. I'll just say that, but it's it's not. I mean, look, we talked about buying the dip here at the 61.8 and selling the 50%, so that was sort of the trade. Now, would I do it again? I mean, maybe. Small size, though. Snow. All right, so Snowflake, one we haven't talked about in a while. It's got to hold the 20 MA, 213.61 to 209.77. That's 78.6. Below there, it's probably going to come down a lot more. But yeah, I mean, look, this has been up a lot. I'd be a trimmer here. Just don't let it get below the 20 MA. Don't be that guy. If it does get to 237.72, probably a good trim spot. But I'd be a trimmer up here. I mean, you already broke trend. It's got to look. You're right on the top side of the channel, and the 20 MA, which has been the key support. Don't let it get below the 20 MA. All right, have a great rest of your week. I'll see you for the weekend video, I guess late night Thursday, since it's, or probably it may be Friday. We'll see. Although it may be maybe Thursday or Friday. I have to see. I usually do it Friday, Saturday, but market's closed obviously Friday, so I'll try and get it done on Thursday for you guys. Cheers.